Hey everybody, so what are we going to do today? We're going to do a few things today. We are going to talk about things that, well, like me, I didn't know for years. Didn't know this for years. And this video is all about, again, when you want to start taking that step from playing your chords into something else to make things sound or look a little fancier than they are. And that usually means incorporating notes. But to play the notes, you got to know where the notes are. So let's go over a few ways that we can, or that I identify notes on my fretboard. Now, full disclosure, I'll tell you right now, I can't, if you yelled out to me, find an F sharp. Oh, I was pretty close, but no, I can't do that. And I probably will never be able to do that, considering my age and everything, right? Because our brains aren't as spongy as when we're young. So I need to put in place mechanisms to help me find these when I'm playing, and I find them. But here's how I find them. So let's take that F sharp, for example, okay? So the way I would find it right now is so quickly, because my RAM is just maxed out while I'm playing, that I know that this is an E, right? So if I know that, I've got 2 up as my F sharp. So there's my F sharp, right? That's how I find the notes. So if I wanted to find an A, I know that's a G, right? There's certain notes on the guitar that I know. And what I would recommend is if you know the notes across this string, then they're going to be the same as across the first string. And if you know your notes through the middle, now when you look down, what I mean by the middle is even though the dots are not exactly on this 4th string or 3rd string from the top, but it's the 4th string on the guitar, the way we look down, it looks like that string is running right through the middle of the dot. So I learn that dots, okay? So I know that's F, G, A, B, right? C, D. I know that, right? So if I know that, and I'm looking for an F sharp on that string, I know that there's my F, that has to be my F sharp. And that's what I do, but I do it so quick that it just seems like I knew exactly where that was the whole time. Now, I think a lot of us do that. We tend to think, okay, well, if this is a G, then 2 frets up, right? That's what we're taught. 2 frets up is an A, and 2 frets back is the note before it, which is an F. No problem. But you know what? I'd been playing about over 2 years, and I didn't realize to think of the string below and the string above. What are those notes? Well, again, if I have a G, okay, directly below the G, I have a C. Directly above, I have a D. Okay, that never changes. So everywhere on the guitar is the same thing, right? Okay, well that might sound overly simple. And it is, and that's the beauty of this. It is so easy. But we think everything is so complicated because it looks that way at the beginning. So if I want to know where an A is, well, I know that my E is here, so my A is always below the E, right? There's my E, there's my A. Here's my E, here's my A. Here's my E, here's my A. Okay? If we want to know where the F is, well, there's my, G or C, there's my F, there's my C. C is always over F, F is always under C. Okay? So here we have an F. What's above the F? Well, we have a C. What's below the C? We have an F. Now, the only exception is from our video on Know Your Fretboard, is when we cross what I call the border. Well, I only call it that. It's not an official guitar thing. And that is the difference between the colored strings. Most sets of strings, these 4 strings, 3, 4, 5, and 6, are gold or bronze. And these 2 are silver, noticeably thinner. Call them the treble strings. I think the 3rd string is actually officially a treble string, but I separate them by color. Okay? So When we cross this border, the rule changes by 1 fret. So what I mean by that is now, right, if we have, okay, so we established that under a C is an F. So if we have a C here, right, which is the last string of the bronze, when we go over, that's not an F. We have to go over 1 fret. So anytime we cross that border, so here we have a G, right? And we know that under a G is a C. But if I go over that border to the next string down, that's only a B. We got to go over 1. It's because of the way the guitar is tuned to set up, okay? That's just something, don't even question it. It is the way it is. Now, unless you're into detuning your guitar, which we're not there as beginners, okay? So if you remember that, now all of a sudden, if you know where one note is, now you know where 1, 2, 3, 4 notes are. And if you know where those 2 notes are now, up and down, now you know where these 2 notes are. And it just goes out like a spider's web. And it never changes, right? So keep that in mind. So that's the first little thing that I didn't know until way in. Okay. Now the other thing is, for those of you that are playing chords, or chords and songs, but really at the basic level. Okay, and really what I mean by that, and there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, I still do the same thing with many songs, right? I still play them the way I learned them in month 6 of my journey. So what I mean by that is, okay, so we're playing a song, I don't know, G, C, A minor, D, G. Okay, and we're doing good, we're singing along, or whatever we're doing, all right? But at a beginner's level, we often don't have a fancy intro to the song, and we don't have an outro or an ending. We don't really know how to end the song. Have you ever thought of that? Like, you're playing a song. Well, we could just do that. Let that last chord ring out, no problem. But let's look at some of the things we talked about recently, right? And we've got these arpeggios, that the most important thing to remember about these, and the reason I talk about them a lot is to show you how important they are, because they're so simplistic. And we can use them in a variety of ways. And in this way, we're going to put an ending onto our song. Okay? So let's say we're playing G, D, A minor, C, end. Hey, everybody, thank you very much. And everybody's applauding, right? Or we can simply throw in a bit of arpeggio on the last chord. Done. Doesn't that sound a lot better, a lot slicker, a lot more professional? Now remember, we can't play a bad note as long as you stay within the strings allowed in the chord. So what I mean by that is, right, you're ending on a C. I have these 5 strings right here, because we don't play that top string on a C, right? We don't play that low E. So as long as if I pluck any of those, let's do it again. Those are different ones. There's my ending, okay? If I end in a D, there's my D. Now I could have done, they're all going to sound good, right? So remember, arpeggios are your friend. Don't get all confused because you think it's some fancy technique that you have to spend hours and hours practicing. We have proven that if you arpeggiate through the chord using the strings that are allotted to that chord, whether it be 4, 3, 5, or 6, you will never play a bad note. So therefore, your ending on an E, instead of that, can be okay? And you can apply that to any chord. All right, so there's just a couple of things that I just wanted to show you. I know we've talked about all of these things before, but again, sometimes when you hear things multiple times, maybe presented a little bit differently, and again, remember, we're getting older now and we got to really shove stuff into our head, okay? Hopefully, this will shed a little more light on something that you've already kind of dabbled in or are dabbling in. All right, we'll see you soon. Hope you found this a bit useful. I welcome all your comments, suggestions, and otherwise. And we'll see you down the road. And remember, just play your guitar.